Today, we're jumping into a topic that's central to Islamic tradition, the Day of Judgment, or Qiyamah. We're going to look at the specific signs that were prophesied to signal the end of the world as we know it. So let's just dive right in. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get a handle on what Qiyamah actually is. Then we'll get into the two different kinds of signs, the subtle minor signs and the really dramatic major signs. And we'll finish up by asking, what's the whole point of knowing about these signs anyway? Okay, let's start right at the beginning with the inevitable hour. So what is Qiyamah? And why is it so important to understand the signs that point to it?
At its core, Qiyamah is a really foundational belief. It's the idea that the world as we know it will come to an end, and that this end leads to a final judgment where every single person is held accountable for their actions. You can see how this belief really shapes a person's entire perspective on life.
But here's what's so interesting about these signs. According to tradition, the Prophet Muhammad didn't describe these markers to make people panic or try to guess the exact date. They were meant to be more like a spiritual heads-up, helping believers see that the final event is getting closer.
Now, these signs aren't all the same. They're actually broken down into two big categories. You've got the minor signs. These are subtle changes in society and behavior that unfold over a long, long time. And then you have the major signs. These are the big, unmistakable, world-changing events that are said to happen one after another right before the end. Let's start with the minor ones first.
All right, let's take a closer look at these minor signs. These are the subtle shifts in society that some people believe we might even be seeing in the world around us today. You know, a lot of these minor signs point to a kind of breakdown in society. Things like a decline in real, meaningful knowledge, even as information is everywhere. Or, an increase in immorality that's not just happening but is out in the open. And a growing economic gap, where more and more wealth ends up in the hands of very few people. And then there are other signs that feel a bit more personal and social. For example, have you ever just felt like time is flying by, just speeding up? Well, that's actually mentioned as one of the signs. Others include a breakdown in family structures, like children openly disrespecting their parents. And, interestingly enough, a competition to build taller and more luxurious buildings. Okay, now we're shifting gears in a big way. We're moving from those subtle changes to the absolutely undeniable. The major signs are on a whole different level, signaling that the final moments are here. Yeah, the biggest thing to understand here is the sheer scale. We're talking about cataclysmic, world-altering events. It's said that once the first one appears, the rest will follow one after another, kind of like beads falling off a broken string. Several of these major signs involve some pretty key figures. First, there's the appearance of the Dajjal, also known as the false messiah, who is said to be a great deceiver.